Hello, Dr. Giovanne Rondo with another episode of Healthy Mind, Body, and Spirit. We are in season 4, yes, 4. And so we have got a great guest today, Dr. Quan Watson with Kare Mobile. And I'm just going to let him introduce himself and tell us how he got into the field of dentistry.
Definitely. So, yeah, my name is Dr. Quan Watson. I've been a practicing dentist for 23 years, right here in West
Yes,
Louisville,
yes.
right?
West side, the best
The
side.
best side. And my business partner for those 2 decades was Dr. Sherry Babbage, who's, of course, also a member
Amazing.
of this church. And yeah, I got into dentistry when I was a junior in high school. I wanted to do something in the medical field. I'm artistic in nature. I wanted to be a business owner, and both of those things drew me to dentistry because it kind of helped me, allow me to utilize my artistic side while helping and servicing the community, and I could be a business owner on top of it. And so me and Dr. Babbage partnered up around the end of my first year out of dental school, which was back in
Wow.
2099. And we've had one of the largest practices in West Louisville for a couple decades, sold it in 2016, and I started Care Mobile right after that in 2017.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Care Mobile, can you explain what Care Mobile is?
Definitely. So Care Mobile started as a mobile application that I had created to connect patients to dentists for same-day treatment. Back then, I could start seeing that it was more and more difficult for Medicaid patients or patients that are underinsured to get into a dental office. And so I created an app to connect patients to dentists for same-day treatment because what are the 2 reasons why professionals usually do not like to take Medicaid? Number 1, it's the low show rate, right? And 2, it was the low reimbursements.
Low pay, yeah.
And so the application's purpose was if I could connect you to a provider that had a chair available because they had a vacancy, you would be more likely to accept that patient because it's extra money at that point. And it would also be a win for the patient, especially if I knew the skill set of the provider so that we didn't waste the patient's time and we connected them to someone that was able to
Appropriate.
do those services at that particular time. And so my goal was to market that application to one of the insurance companies, white label or license it to them. And when that didn't occur, my pivot was to take a van that I had and retrofit it into a single chair mobile dental office and to have people that downloaded my application have me come to them and provide the dental services.
Wow. Okay, so you as a practicing dentist came up with your own application. So, just computer.
I paid somebody to do the app. I did.
Okay, okay.
So basically, the schema or the architecture and the functionality were things that I came up with conceptually, but the development team then takes your idea and creates the application based on the idea that you have. So I paid somebody to do that from selling my practices. I built that out. But the funny thing about it is that the application, only way it was going to make money because it was free to the patient and free to the dentist was if the insurance companies paid me for making these connections, because we know
Oh, I see.
Medicaid insurance companies, they make money by making sure utilization is at a certain percentage, and when they weren't willing to do so, I had to pivot the company because a company that doesn't make money goes out of business, right? So the
Absolutely.
pivot was to provide services. Right, I provided the service, and that was the way to monetize the software that I had developed until it got big enough to where then I thought somebody would pick up the software. But I had over 2,000 people just in this area download the software,
Wow.
and I would come to their house, do their crowns, root canals, extractions, whatever, right there in the comfort of their driveway. So that's how we started.
So you actually go to people's homes.
I
Or-
did in the beginning. So once again, as I said, that was 2017, 2018.
So you're doing a lot of pivoting.
You have to keep pivoting. Life makes you pivot. So fast forward to today, in the last year, what's happened? Inflation has occurred, right? So my gas prices has doubled. And so now we actually, if we're going to see you in this market, unless it's a bigger size case, we sublease some space right down the street at 901 South 15th Street. And I'm sure if you came down 15th Street, you'll see sometimes our vans parked right out in front of there.
Yeah.
And the patients in this area can come to that location and get their services done on days that I'm still around to provide the services.
So it's almost like a pop-up or drive-up
Exactly.
kind of dental office.
Exactly, and I can
you
move
service
those assets around based on
Wow.
need and based on opportunities. So,
Wow. And so you've expanded?
Yeah, definitely. So
Okay.
we've raised venture capital money. We've been fortunate to get backing from a black VC firm out of Ohio called Lightship Capital. And we've used those resources to expand into about 5 different markets. We have vans now in Atlanta, Detroit. We'll be in Oklahoma soon, Ohio. We built vans for fairly qualified healthcare centers in North Carolina. Yeah, we're a lot of different places.
Wow.
Yeah.
And all of this started in
In
little
West
old,
Louisville.
wait.
In West Louisville.
In West Louisville.
Yeah.
And now you are pretty much, you're covering a good portion of the Southeast region or this Midwest, Southeast region, and then you're going into the West. Sounds
One
like
of the
Oklahoma.
things we like to do is we like to build relationships where we have providers that have the similar mindset that we do. And a lot of times those providers are in the areas that I just mentioned, right? Because you mentioned, we know there's only 4% of dentists that are African American. And so we more or less partner with those providers that are also passionate about services in these communities in those areas. And so too, logistically, it's more appealing for me to be in those areas because I can get to Detroit in 5 hours or
Right.
Atlanta in 6 if
6,
necessary. So that also is why we kind of geographically focused in those areas. But then Oklahoma, because of everything with Black Wall Street, my investor is really about entrepreneurship and supporting black-ran businesses. So we have large opportunities and investments in Tulsa because they're trying to
make that black-
reparations for
wow.
Black Wall Street. So we're
Okay,
going to expand
okay.
there. Yeah.
I love that. Love just the whole concept. So with the Care Mobile, and I love that name, just Care and taking it mobile.
Exactly.
Do you focus more on underserved populations for the most part, or
Everybody.
Okay.
So we try not to pigeonhole the company. We believe everybody deserves access to oral health care. And so my passion, though, is, of course, servicing my communities to where when I first started practicing back in 1999, there was 10 practices in West Louisville. All the greats like Dr. Riley and Dr. Green and all my mentors that were in this
Dr.
community.
Williams.
Dr. Williams, exactly, as well. They basically led the way for me. And, being someone that's practiced now for 23 years and seeing all of them gone, Dr. Babbage is retired, so on and so forth, there's no practices in West Louisville anymore. There's no, other than FQACs, there's no place for you to go to get those services done. So it's just important for me to have a presence in this community, but we also service a lot of high-end customers as well. One of my doctors in Detroit is Dr. Catrice Austin. She is world known for being Cardi B's dentist, and we just did a makeover.
Really?
Yeah, she's one of our doctors and a friend. So
my daughter would love to hear that, my 12-year-old.
Yeah, we just did a big makeover on American Idol contestant. If you look on our social media, you can see how we transformed her smile. We did a full reconstruction in the van. And
You did it in one of your Care Mobile
in
vans?
Detroit, yeah. So if you look on our IG, Instagram page, you can see the whole journey.
That just sounds, I'm just amazed. I love to hear that. But what I really love is to hear in West Louisville. So you mentioned that there were about 10 dentists in West Louisville. Actually, there still is one. Dr. Philip Williams is still in practice.
My mentor.
And so, but what's going on with the lack thereof of dentists and also healthcare providers, physicians or whatnot in West Louisville? What do you think is the cause for that?
Well, a number of things. Number one, how much debt the younger dentists are coming out with. The model changing. A lot of times I talk about when I do like a lot of speaking engagements and stuff like that, just time and timing, and how over time things have changed to where my overhead when I first graduated, I could pay an assistant $6 an hour. Now I have to pay him 20. But reimbursements have not kept
Haven't
up
gone
with that
up with
degree
that
with
same-
inflation.
yeah.
So therefore, a dentist that wants to practice in West Louisville, and then you're taking low reimbursements from the insurance, you can't monetize it. It doesn't cash flow appropriately. And then you add on top of it all the overhead of a brick and mortar. It just doesn't work. And so when people ask me, well, why are you going around the van? I'm going around the van because it was about the autonomy of being able to go where I want, when I want, and serve who I want.
You like to pivot.
Yeah, and then to be able to keep my overhead low is also the important factor to it. Yeah.
Sounds like an amazing business man, just a business mind, I should say. So can you kind of go over a day on the van? Just what does that look like when you get up in the morning, and what does it look like when you're actually on the van?
Yeah, so our vans are state of the art. We have several patents. One is a design patent on how the van is constructed, okay? So we actually manufacture these vans ourselves in Springfield, Kentucky. And it's a black company that does that in collaboration with us.
Come on now.
Yeah, we're black from top to bottom. So
in and out.
a day on the van consists of we start our huddles at 7:45, but they're virtual. My call center team is in Zimbabwe, so they're on the phone with us.
Oh, you're really keeping it
virtually, right? My text team and my operations team, we're all over the country, and we get on this huddle and we go through the day. We have 4 vans in the Kentucky market. 2 are in Western Kentucky, 2 are in Louisville. My hygienist can go out under general supervision and provide asynchronous or synchronous teledentistry exams to determine what people's needs are without me being on the van, which allows me to maximize my profitability by only seeing patients after they've been seen by her. So we utilize all of that information to make sure that every van hits a certain degree of productivity, and we determine how much each van is going to produce per day. And then it's just about going out and executing. So today, for example, my day consisted of seeing about 4 or 5 patients. I cemented a bridge, which is 3 crowns that are connected, and I started or completed an Invisalign case, which is a clear aligner case. And then we also had 3 episodic pain patients that we removed teeth on right down the street.
Wow, just all
and everyone has
in
a
a
schedule,
van.
and they pulled up their car next to ours, get in the van, get their service rendered.
Wow. What if you have any complications or any emergencies? You just send them to the emergency room? How does that work out?
So complications, for one, the reason why we like to predetermine what the needs are of the patient prior to, so that you pick cases that are within your skill set to be able to perform. If it's something that I don't feel comfortable performing, before they even see me again, they're going to go ahead and be sent to the specialist, the oral surgeon, so on and so forth. Being someone that's been doing it as long as I have very few complications, because I know what I feel comfortable doing and what I don't, and I work within the scope of what I feel comfortable doing. As far as emergencies are concerned, we have our 1-800 number that you could call if there is an emergency. But if we aren't able to get to you, we have other partnerships that we're developing with some of the other FQACs, which is the only other options for people in the community, so that we can use them as a conduit to the vans to kind of make sure everyone gets the care they deserve. So,
okay, awesome. So you basically do the Kentucky market, but there's other people that you've partnered with in Atlanta, Detroit, in other areas, other dentists who've taken this thing on too. Okay.
Yeah, so basically in other markets, we are considered a DSO. A DSO is a dental service organization, a mobile DSO, similar to what Mortensen is. So we're like an equivalent of Mortensen, but we don't have brick and mortar facilities. All of our services are rendered in these mobile vans that we lease to our state PLLCs, and these people are my partners in these different markets.
Okay. So we're just going to pivot a little bit and talk about oral health and the connection to just your overall well-being.
Definitely.
Just real quick, just what kind of tips would you give us to help with our oral health?
Yeah, first I would say make sure that you're keeping up with your dental appointments, right? If you haven't been to a dentist in a number of years, it's important that you go in so that we can take x-rays and we can evaluate your overall periodontal condition, right? We know that periodontal disease specifically is a precursor to a lot of systemic ailments.
Oh, yes.
Like diabetes and
that,
cardiovascular disease. So if you have active periodontal disease, we want to be able to identify that so that we can make sure that if we're not improving your periodontal condition through deep cleanings and things of that nature, that we can figure out the underlying reason why that is. And a lot of that's through collaboration with our physician partners, right?
Yes.
And so we also would like to also pre-screen for hypertension by taking people's blood pressure and things of that nature. And just
you do that on your van?
We do.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it's just important. We also, in the past, we haven't done it as much recently, have done things like oral DNA test. Oral DNA is a saliva test that can determine what systemic ailment you could have from your spit, because different bacteria causes different type of potential systemic ailments. And that also can be a precursor or a tool that can be used to determine what you need to look
Right.
for or treat.
You actually do that on the van?
I
You
have.
do? Wow.
You-
Okay.
It's a spit saliva test that then we can ship out to.
Insurances pay for that?
They do
Okay.
not. Hence why I don't do it as much. But as I learned about the product, I wanted to test it, right? Because periodontal disease is usually painless until it's too late, till the teeth are loose, right?
Right.
And so it's important that we provide you with information on why it's important to treat this, so that you're more likely to actually follow through with it, because you
yes.
can understand how it's impacting the rest of your body.
Right, right. Wow. You guys are just doing some amazing things. So, talking about your entrepreneurial journey, what has been your biggest lesson? Or
Wow.
lessons?
Yeah. I mean, every day is a new lesson, right? We're further than I ever wanted or even expected to be with this project, but continue to push yourself to the bigger mission and goal, right? So my goal at first was just something that I wanted to do for myself, but it's really grown into something that I feel like can change the world.
Wow.
And just trying to be a part of something that changes the world and
So
changes the way people provide services.
So when you first got into, well, okay, first of all, dentistry overall, and then when you first got into just the business, your overall goal was to just do something for
And
you.
when I first got into dentistry, I just wanted to be a dentist. I was the first dentist on either side of my family, first doctor for that matter. All these other things just kind of continuously grew as you continue to push yourself to be better. First it was
Wow.
just be a dentist, then it was own a practice, then it was other ventures that I got into. And even with this mobile dental thing, it was really just my way of getting back to being able to control my own destiny. But I thought it was such a great idea. I felt like more people would love the opportunity to mimic it, and that's where it's grown from there.
So have you kind of franchised it out? Is it kind of a franchise?
It was at one point we were looking at doing it like a franchise model, but it's not. Franchising means that every particular person underneath you has a certain degree of autonomy to do things their way. We actually now own all of the assets and own and control all of the market, so it's not a franchise. It's
Okay.
more like similar to Aspen Dental or Mortensen, where we basically are keeping the same brand consistent in all these different
see.
markets, and these individuals provide or receive support from us to be able to execute their business efficiently.
Okay. How has the pandemic affected your business?
It has.
Or affected dentistry overall?
Yeah, well, the pandemic has been a positive for us and for a number of different reasons. First, when I first started, people thought I was a crazy guy that's going around in a van doing dental work, right? It broadened the rules when it came to teledentistry. Teledentistry was not something that really anyone knew what to do with.
Right.
The way I've created a model to use it on the van, where if my hygienist can actually pull me up on the TV, and I can talk to you without being on the van. And I can see inside your mouth without being on the van. I can look at your x-rays without being on the van. And so those workflows weren't there before.
So you feel like the pandemic maybe accelerated things?
Definitely did.
Accelerated the acceptance of this model?
New ways of doing things. It accelerated the acceptance of, which one would you feel comfortable for in a world where, you have an airborne virus. Would you want to be in an office with a number of people where the aerosol spray is being sprayed all around, or would you like to be in a single chair van
just
where it's just
you
you and that
yep.
provider getting the services rendered? So it's been a catalyst for us. Definitely.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And last question, how do you, dentist, Dr. Watson, take care of your own oral health?
Right. Well, for one, I've been fortunate. I was one of those people that never was scared of the dentist because I never had a cavity. In
You've
my
never
whole
had a
life.
cavity?
I've never had anything done but my teeth cleaned. So, so it was one of those things
Wow.
that I didn't realize people didn't like the dentist until I became a dentist, right?
Yes.
And so for me, it's easy. I just need to get my routine cleanings, and that's it. But for others, they have more challenges and things of that nature. We know that your diet, a lot, how much sugar you drink, all those things impact your overall health, right? So, and your overall oral health. So flossing, just making sure that you're following a particular regimen daily when it comes to your oral care is also important.
So you do all those things, and have you done all those things most of your life? The cleaning, the flossing, all that?
I would say, like any kid, no, I didn't floss as a kid. No, who did, right?
Right, I was gonna say, wow, he's
No,
doing that too.
no, not at all. But honestly, what most people don't know is genetics and your saliva content has a lot to do with your caries rate. And so genetically, my grandfather, who's deceased now, he died a couple years ago. He was 90-some years old, had never had a cavity, and never lost a tooth at 90-some years old.
Okay, so genetics, and you said the
Saliva,
saliva?
yeah. So there's certain things in your saliva that helps prevent caries. And
caries can
cavities, yes. The
okay.
So that has a lot. I think that probably has just as much of factor or influence on things as your home care, because I know I do have some patients that are like, man, I'm doing everything possible and I just keep getting cavities. But usually those people have a couple things: high carb diet or a dry mouth. A dry mouth, because you don't have as much salivary flow, will make it more likely for you to get caries.
Wow, thanks for that. Wow, I needed that. Yes.
Yeah.
Great information. Any other tips that you would give just to help us, maybe to avoid seeing you, but if we do need to see you on the Kare mobile, what kinds of things?
Well, first off, I would say don't avoid seeing us. The tip would be to see us. To
yeah.
avoid.
Prevent.
Exactly. Yeah. Prevention is the
Yes,
key.
yes.
And if we can catch things when they're early, it prevents us from having to do things like remove teeth and do things that are more evasive and more uncomfortable and things that people don't like the dentist for. So if I could give any tip, I would say prevention is the key. Brush and floss before bed, right? So that those sugars and things don't sit on your teeth overnight. And yeah, just, make sure that you're educating yourself with the right provider and find somebody. If you haven't been to a dentist in a while and you're overdue, do not wait, is what I would really harp on.
Well, it's kind of hard to find,
it's impossible
especially
right now.
here in West Louisville, but just really trying to find someone. So once we do, make sure that we, on a regular basis, see the dentist, use good oral care, brushing and flossing on a regular basis, and and then cutting back on a lot of the sweets and the carbs, all of that. So you say carbs in particular, so just things that break down into sugars quickly. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Wow. Thank you so much. This has been a great episode.
Thank you.
We're learning so much about just the medical field overall, but it is incredible to hear about someone who is coming out of West Louisville and making changes and making a difference really throughout the world. So, yes, because you're going Zimbabwe, I heard you say. And
I haven't been to Zimbabwe. I just have employees in Zimbabwe, but I plan to expand into other countries.
You're employing people in Zimbabwe. Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
definitely.
That is amazing, and that's right here in West Louisville. That's just amazing. Just we'll have to, talk. Yeah,
I love what you're doing too.
Yes, we'll have to talk more about just expanding ourselves and expanding who we are and what we're trying to do to the world. So thank you so much, Dr. Watson, for coming. And thank you for joining us for another episode of Healthy Mind, Body, and Spirit. Have a great day.